My name is Carson Holman. I was born on the campus of Carson Long Military Academy. I grew up there. I went to school there as a cadet for 8 years, and I retired from there after 50 years. My great uncle, Theodore K. Long, purchased Bloomfield Academy in 1914. 2 years later, he renamed it Carson Long Institute after his son, William Carson Long, who was killed as a young man in a tragic accident. My great uncle, my grandmother, my mother and father, and 2 uncles went to Bloomfield Academy. My brother, my cousin, and 2 nephews went to Carson Long Military Academy. After World War I, my father came back from the war, and he and my mother in 1919 started working for Carson Long. He became the head of the school in 1921, and he was there for 63 years. I was only there for 50. Started out, of course, Bloomfield Academy was co-ed, and it was maintained co-ed until about 1919 when they made it all-boys school. And basically it's a college preparatory school for boys. The basic principles were the same. Trying to give boys structure, helping them to get through high school, or helping them to get through college. The basis was on leadership and structure, and the word that I heard in 50 years more than anything else from parents was structure. We need structure for our son. You know, he won't study, he won't go to school, that kind of thing. And with the structure of the military program, it helped to snap him out. An alumnus wrote back one year and he said, you know, I was failing in 8th grade, and my parents sent me to Carson Long. In my first year, and for freshman year, they made me study. They made me go to study hall. They made me study for 2.5 hours. And if I didn't have my homework done the next day, they put me in an extra study hall in my free time. So I decided it was a good idea to probably go ahead and study. By sophomore year, my grades started to improve. And my junior year, I was on the honor roll. I'd never been on the honor roll in my life. And my senior year, I wanted to go to college, and he did. So that's really what the purpose of Carson Long was and is. Carson Long definitely had a very strong Christian background. Started with my father. He was extremely religious without being fanatic, but they got a good dose of religious training. They made their own beds, they cleaned their own buildings, they policed the grounds, drilled every day, but they all wear cadet gray uniforms all the time. And it was strictly military. And our thing was we had a parade every Saturday morning. I'm embarrassed and ashamed and upset that you people didn't see one of our parades on Saturday morning. And of course, every Memorial Day parade, they were parading. The kids were intelligent, but they were lazy. You know, they didn't study. Some of them didn't go to school. They just lacked structure. We had boys out of the country. We had boys from Russia, from China, from Arabia, Germany, France. Most of them were New York, and many of them New York City. Of course, they came by train. And we'd meet them in Newport Station. And I remember when there was a Newport Station. By bus and take them over to Carson Long. Yes, they probably went to some of the stores, what they weren't supposed to, but that was the name of the game, I guess. The last 5 years, they had a new chef in there who, I can't believe that the boys really liked the food. That is really unusual, but he was a good cook and prepared good food. They lived in the dormitory buildings. So there was at least 1, maybe 2 faculty families living in the dormitory buildings with the boys 24 hours a day. But that was one of the pluses at our school, that they had full-time supervision all the time. There were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 dormitory rooms. The junior school, at one time, of course, when I started, it was in 5th grade. When I taught there, it was probably just 7th grade. 7th and 8th graders were in a dorm on their own. High school was kept separately. Later in my years, we built an apartment building for some of the older faculty members that had larger families. You know, had 3 or 4 kids, and they needed a little expansion. The enrollment went from over 200 when I retired down to about 85. So you just couldn't operate a school that way. And I think the leadership thing is gone. I still think kids need help. Some kids need structure. And I still think there's a place for a military school to give structure, but that seems to be an idea that's fading away.